Garrett Fry, the construction site sequence lead for 3D digital map painting, and we're looking at shot 1455. So let's go ahead and play that. So we're starting out low, and then we raise up here. And this shot, we have some open areas right in this area, right in the center of frame that we can put things. And then we have just a little bit of a ledge up there, and then some, a little bit of space over there. So when you're putting, actually, in addition, you also have this area here. So when you're putting in things into this shot, you want to make sure that they make logical sense. So arrange them in a way that you can tell a story around them. So you may have in this area some larger equipment, and when you have this larger equipment, that it's actually doing something. So maybe it's maybe it's drilling in a hole or something right there, and then you have all of these poles that are used to drill holes, and they're all around this area so that it makes logical sense. When you look at this area here, it does make logical sense because you have all of these wood piles being stored together. They're put there in a very mindful way, and so you can do that if you have some kind of narrative you're telling yourself. So that helps with the believability, but it also helps you when you're making decisions about how to lay things out. In addition, this is an overcast scene, and so you need to be really mindful of the different types of visual cues that you need in order to get your objects to sit within the scene. And so you have these contact shadows underneath things, which is great, which you'll definitely want to put in there. But there's also this kind of more subtle ambient occlusion shadow. So if you look over here on this thing, there's this little shadow that kind of comes out here, and that shadow is like I said, very subtle, but it helps that object kind of sit into the scene. And that's not really motivated by any kind of directional light, because we don't have directional light here. We just have this big sky that is kind of filling in the whole scene with light. So be mindful of that. Also, just make sure that you are following the correct perspective on things, and you're changing it so one object over here has one perspective and this has a different perspective as far as the way that it's set up. You can't have an object that looks great here and then just move them all the way over to this spot and have it really make sense. That wouldn't work. So if you're going to move this wood pile from here to over here, then you're going to have to change the perspective on that object so it fits within the perspective of the scene. And luckily, you have these things on set that the construction site crew put together that kind of helps you out with setting up your grid of perspective lines, which helps out a lot. So if you're aligning your object to this grid, then you're going to be okay. Before you jump into your shot, it's a good idea to review the library of construction site materials. Do a bunch of quick matte painting tests by dragging photos into your shot and doing quick integrations. You will soon be able to discern the appropriate reference you should use for your shot.